everybody. We're back.
Welcome back, SOSers. We have a lot to discuss today because we want to go over everything that's in the fucking news because I know y'all want to hear our 2 cents on it. We know it.
Yeah, obviously.
Obviously, you want to hear what Alyssa and Molly have to say about all the bullshit in the news.
Yeah, and plus the Britney Spears documentary.
Oh my God. You watched it, right?
I did. Honestly, I've been working so much this last couple weeks on my music that I have tuned out the news for about a week and a half. So, I mean, I know the basics of it, but
jealous.
I haven't gone that in depth. And I know you have, so it's going to be like a little give and take on this episode but I mean, I know the atrocities that are going on right now.
Yeah. Oh my God. Twitter is just like injected into my veins because that's just where I'm at. And that's why, my anxiety is through the roof. Okay. What should we start with? Should we start with, we were going to record this last week and then it kind of made sense just to do as more recent as possible. But the impeachment trial happened and there's so much that we want to talk about, but it's it's just so fucking old news at this point. But
yeah.
Spoiler alert, he was acquitted.
Oh God. I know.
It was such a fucking, I don't know, whatever. He was acquitted. A lot of things were confusing to me. And there's a lot of theories back and forth about why Democrats did what they did and why certain Republicans did what they did. They voted to allow more witnesses, but then they didn't want any more witnesses. And we're like, can't we just get as many witnesses as possible? But they're like, it wouldn't have made a difference. They were going to acquit anyway. Fucking Lindsey Graham was going to Lindsey Graham. Fucking McConnell was going to McConnell.
Lindsey Graham.
They were going to be bitches. It was interesting stuff. I had written some notes. It was it's just so basic why Trump should have been fucking charged. But it's interesting. His defense lawyers kept saying they're he shouldn't be tried here in the Senate. He should be tried in an actual court that is outside of us, basically. Now my nose is running.
Right.
And it's just so weird because it's his own defense lawyers was oh no, he should be charged, just not here.
Right. Well, and he lost.
Funny.
So at first he had quote unquote, I was listening to NPR and they were Trump has apparently gained 2 normal lawyers on his team, which he lost less than a week later because, and they were if you're wondering how Trump could have partnered with anybody normal on a legal team, he can't. They quit.
Yeah.
So that was his initial defense team.
Yeah. I mean, this is career suicide to be defending someone this guy. And it's just Giuliani's his main fucking lawyer. That should tell you enough. But it's just to remind everybody, in his 2016 campaign, he encouraged violence against protesters at his rallies over and over again. And he praised his supporters who attacked them if they were I don't know, BLM activists or just, people protesting his wild fucking rallies. And they would get punched in the face, and then Trump would be clapping for them, and the entire stadium would roar for them.
He said he'd pay for the legal fees, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just mother of fucking. I mean, whatever he said the day of the insurrection that morning about oh, let's storm, let's do this, let's storm, let's fight. It's not just hyperbole anymore. He's literally praised, clapped, and inspired the violence, and it's just so disgusting at this point. So I'm praying the New York court system that already has so many charges against him get the ball rolling because I don't know. They also have to do a separate vote to make sure he doesn't run again, and that's I think the most important thing.
Right.
So hopefully.
No, it's so strange to imagine if he actually does. Part of me, the whole disbelief that I had and a lot of us had when he first ran of okay, but that's not really going to happen. It did happen. And so now every time I think something he would never run again. He probably would, but then it's he wouldn't win though. He could. It's
100%.
It's just alarming and disturbing. But, moving onward and upward. I feel like the 2020 has, aside from him even being in office, just the pandemic alone has shifted so much internal societal structure of the way our day-to-day lives run. Yeah. And when I am my most optimistic self, I like to think that that will infiltrate into other areas of life where like it's just not going to look the same, and therefore we as a collective hopefully won't think the same, and whatever that means, we shall see.
I was thinking about that today. I always have these random intrusive thoughts of like big picture things of like why the energy is shifting with these new with the millennials and the Gen Z when it comes to like recognizing the dangers of our own government, the dangers of capitalism and all that stuff. And I wonder like how that shift happens. Is it shifting because the world is shifting, or is the world shifting because we're shifting?
Oh, wait, what do you mean?
Conversation. Like think about it. Like the younger generations now are realizing that none of this shit actually serves us in the long run.
Right.
And the older generations, baby boomers, they were in like a war torn, Vietnam War was going on, like the Cold War, everything was just so, the stakes were high in that regard. Tumultuous. So they were less involved with being progressive when it came to mental health and talking about, what serves us here and as a community instead of just, out for ourselves.
I want to say, I think it's because, and I don't know why or where it starts, but people are changing because capitalism is set up to continue to run seamlessly. Right. It's like within its structure itself, it's already set up to keep going. So I don't feel like it's, capitalism can't work anymore. It can always work. That's how it's set up, to just never stop working.
Right.
So I think it's something about the mentality, the way society is shifting and the values that, I don't know if it's like this massive collective burnout on a different certain scale, like because you have just in the last like 6 years, the uptick in focus on mental health in the forefront in the mainstream is huge. Like even I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts, That's So Retrograde. They're like a wellness podcast. They started 6 years ago, and right now they're the number one wellness podcast. When they started, wellness wasn't even a quote unquote category. They were like, podcasts barely had started, but they're like, yeah, we've just watched this whole industry boom. And then the industry caters to capitalism and wellness becomes, elitist, and that's a whole other issue. But in terms of like taking care of your mental health and your spiritual health and your physical health, and really a full rounded view of what wellness is, including mental health, it used to just mean like be in shape and make money. And that was like, oh, I'm doing well in life, I'm succeeding. But now people are starting to realize, okay, I can have all these things and I'm still miserable, or it's all taken away, or I lose it all, like in the pandemic or the 2008 financial crisis. All these things have happened that have made people like, okay, so if I don't have these certain things, I'm suddenly unfulfilled. And if you're truly fulfilled from within, that can't be taken away. So if it is taken away, you realize your fulfillment came from a false source.
Right. And I think our generations and the younger one, like we're watching the older ones completely fall apart because we're watching the lie unfold. We're watching how unfulfilled these people actually are from whatever they were taught prior.
And
with
these
what you
people
were saying.
in power, we're seeing them all. That's another thing. Seeing these people in power crumble, fall, be miserable, and look miserable in a way that in our lifetimes, at least being 30, like being in our 30s, like you saw politicians, we saw the whole Monica Lewinsky thing. Like we've seen scandals, but as far as like a whole power structure, people who are supposed to be the most successful, the most adored, the most admired, the richest, the most powerful, just look pathetic. I think it's causing us, and especially generation younger than us who didn't see as much stability as we did in the political structure, be like, this is all a joke. Like these are just a bunch of fucked up adults who like are just power hungry, and that's not it. Like that's not where it's at anymore. anymore.
This is actually a perfect transition into the Britney Spears documentary.
It is.
Speaking of mental health and power-hungry motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And Monica Lewinsky. See, I found it so interesting that the documentary starts off talking about the time in which we were at and how it makes so much sense that she basically came up during the Monica Lewinsky scandal.
Yeah. Wait, first, I want to say for people who don't know what, I know a lot of people have heard of it, but there's a Britney Spears documentary that's available. It's on YouTube.
Framing Britney Spears.
Free on YouTube, the full thing, no commercials, and it's on Hulu too. But basically talking about how society has let Britney Spears down, and she's like a figurehead in the sense of how she came into being, the pop star princess archetype that she kind of was at the forefront of, and then what has happened in her career and with her mental health, with her family life, with her, music and all. It's just a whole situation where her dad is controlling her life and her money, and it's all messed up in the court system. And then this documentary examines how society put her in that position, how we all reacted to her and encouraged this downfall of a star and uses it as an example of all celebrity, but she's the celebrity in this documentary, and it's really interesting.
Yep.
So yes, what you were saying about they talked about how when she was coming up and really blowing up, it was around the time when the Monica Lewinsky scandal was happening. Yeah. And it was just this women being divided into are you the kind of woman that you take home to your parents and is a good wife, or are you the scandalous other woman? You have to be one of the two. And then in a celebrity sense, Britney Spears, it's people, what were they saying? They're just hungry for that scandal and that taboo, and then she slipped into that.
Well, it's interesting. Basically tearing women down and slut shaming became a trend. It was the thing to do. It was a number one thing to do in talk shows and comedy and sketches, SNL. Everyone, women were the butt of the joke. Sexual women were the butt of the joke.
Which is so ironic because, Bill Clinton was in those skits too, but it was all centered around Monica Lewinsky. It was all centered around the woman,
the blue dress,
who was the slut, the dress, who did this, who was on her knees in the Oval Office. Mm-hmm. Okay, he's the president, so he got attention for it too. But the fact is, the woman is the one that's shamed the most for it.
Yeah. So what I found interesting about the documentary was, I was talking to my friend Brandon about this, and because we were dissecting it, and he's a huge Britney Spears fan, and everything that documentary obviously is true, but I think the documentary did a disservice by not focusing on Britney Spears' team, because I think they did so much fucking damage putting her in those situations. The Oops, I Did It Again video meant so much to me. Mm-hmm. And her music in general meant so much to me. And they say this in the documentary, little girls looked at her and women looked at her like she had control over her space, over her sexual body.
That part hit me.
Yeah. And
because go ahead.
No, we looked up to that and we were like, she's owning her shit. And meanwhile, men were either obviously being turned on by her. And this is I think I said this in a previous podcast about men and how they viewed Hillary Clinton. It's the same thing. It's just a nasty little fetish for them to want to fuck the young, innocent, virginal Britney Spears, but also want to punish her at the same time. Mm-hmm. It's punishing her is punishing themselves. It's so fucking psychological.
Yeah. And I thought also when it said that, it resonated with me because I remember being so taken with her in third grade, fourth grade, and just being and I remember, and my parents never said anything against it, but I remember, I had her CD, I had they didn't care, but I did always get the sense of this is cheesy, tacky, she's in midriff bearing shirt. Again, to be fair, they never said these things. I just know that it was seen by a lot of parents and adults as this just kind of smut. Like, this is just some stupid. And what that documentary said, which I have never thought about in that way and never been able to articulate, was it's not about the songs. Yeah, they were cheesy, tacky. Yeah, her outfits were provocative for her age, but what resonated with little girls like us was actually the amount of command she had. In the video, she was in control. She ran that hallway in her school. She was a girl in charge, which especially in like 1998 in a school setting and in society in general was not how you felt when you went to school and you're on the playground. She was in like the gym and the basketball court in one of the videos with the boys like dancing. And I think that parents were thinking like, oh my God, I don't want my girl to want to dance provocatively and wear a crop top when she's 9. But we're looking at it like, yeah, I thought she was beautiful. I wish I looked like her. But also I was 9. I wasn't trying to be sexual. I just was drawn to that female power and that strength in who she was. And the way they said that in the documentary, I was like, that's it. That's what I wish my little 9-year-old self could have articulated to my parents at the time.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, like, she didn't make girls any more sexual than they're biologically already were going to be. I think it showed her having onus on her own autonomy and her own confidence. And because that was just not something that was seen in a lot of pop stars, not since Gen X's Madonna. You know, Madonna was the last person to do that.
Yeah. Well, and I will say the label, she was like 16 when that came out. And of course, just the way it works, especially in that time, the label over-sexualized her. It's not like, 100. Oh, they didn't do that at all. Yes, they did. And I understand that was an issue with parents and that isn't even on her. Like, she was 16. She was put into that system. Exactly. That is the truth of it. She was over-sexualized, but her impact on girls was for a different reason. It wasn't because we all wanted to go. We didn't even know what any of that stuff really meant. It's like we were drawn to other things. And it wasn't even her voice, because I remember first time I heard Christina Aguilera's voice, and that was about her voice. It wasn't about Britney's voice. It was something else. It just hit us hard.
I think Britney Spears has an amazing voice, and I think something happened that I don't know what it is, because she did have an amazing voice, and then something I think she fucked it up from not having.
I was watching in that documentary. I didn't know. I had no idea, and they showed a video of her as a little girl singing at the talent show. I was like, this girl could actually sing.
Mickey Mouse Club, and it made me singing.
Yes,
and then the live mall performances, she was singing her ass off.
Oh, she could actually sing. Happened. And then I started to I was like questioning Britney's voice, but then I realized she was so smashed and compressed into this machine of her vocals were overproduced. They were ultra compressed. No one cultivated her voice and treated her as though her voice was her magic power. They treated her as though her looks were her superpower. So that's what she focused on. She didn't develop her voice to the degree that like a vocalist who sees themselves as a vocal artist does. And I think that was part of when the label takes you up. They, with Christina, they picked her up, but they decided her voice was going to be, they decided like, okay, we're going to make your voice the thing. And they did. And she developed her voice. And I think with Britney, she had started with an incredible talent and a good voice. And the label decided that's not what we're going to focus on. And it never was. Her dancing was.
I think Christina was very lucky that Britney Spears existed. Otherwise, she would have had the same exact fucking issues with the label. I think Christina's very lucky that Britney Spears existed and was fucked with like a puppet by her label and her people and her team. Her team... I don't know if I'm not going to say made her, but encouraged the implants, right? She 100% had a boob job before she was 18. She did.
I didn't know that.
And she got them removed. But it's just so confusing when you make your client, your star, your pop star, go to these interviews where they know they're going to be asked about this boob job. And they don't care about the...
But they didn't say that she actually had implants and then removed them.
She did, and she had them removed. But this is the thing. It's just like, it's so confusing when you send your girl out there to be eaten by these wolves.
Men.
And they know they're going to do that because they don't give a shit about her, how her feeling. They know that that Diane Sawyer interview and these other interviews are going to get exposure. Bad publicity is still good publicity. She's going to remain relevant regardless. And she had to learn to take that in stride. There was like SNL. I don't know if it was in the documentary, but just in my own research, like SNL appearances where she makes jokes about her boobs, and it's like, you know, but she's so fucking confused.
Yeah, you could see it in her, and the one interview where she's talking about how the paparazzi, you know, they were chasing her down and got a picture of it in the car with her toddler or baby in her lap in the car trying to leave Starbucks because the paparazzi were completely harassing her. Yes, it's not safe to do that. We all know that. Then she gets put on an interview that's like, well, people are saying you're an unfit mother, and you see her tear up and explain like, I know, and I was scared and I'm being harassed. And she's not saying, no, it's fine that I had him on my lap. It was a safe thing to do. It's like, if you're a mother and you feel like you're in immediate danger and you have a child with you and you like, Jesus, we can't treat her like a human. We put someone on a pedestal and then we remove their humanity, and then we think that it's fine because they're on a pedestal, so they must have it good, when in reality we're not allowing them the dimension that we allow ourselves and everybody in our personal life.
Exactly. And no one knows what it's like, and it's just such a shame what we've done to her, and
especially well, her dancers and people who had worked for her were talking about how she's not just a puppet. She actually, I mean,
she had control.
She had ideas. She was creative. She was the one making the decisions. She was an incredible dancer. She can dance, and like had this creative vision for her show and her music videos and her songs.
Incredible entertainer.
Yeah, incredible entertainer. And that's the thing where, like, man, that really doesn't come around, because to start with, she could sing. So that's one. She could dance. That's something Christina never really did. It's like she was a real threat in the entertainment industry. And I mean, which
is why
could
Vegas
really perform. And then it went into this whole thing about how mothers had this vendetta out against Britney because of what she came to represent. And it was just like, when you see her being interviewed and they're like, well, what would you say to mothers who blah, blah, blah.
Well, there was like that mother that wanted to shoot her.
Yes.
She was like,
said that she wanted to shoot.
Sorry, I'm not raising your child. And it's just like,
yes.
Yeah.
And she just was like, well, that's mean. Like, you can tell she's the softest, sweet girl who was over-sexualized. That is true. However, she's still a person who went through this and is trying to, man, I just felt for her in that documentary. And I encourage people, because I would never be like, I'm a Britney Spears fan. But as a child, she made a real impact in my childhood for a minute there that is very significant to me. And I also think of I think a lot of people should watch it. I think of people who really don't care about her. Like my parents would be like, whatever. But I would encourage, I think it's a relevant thing for everybody to watch because of the commentary just on how we treat celebrity and what it does to people, and the power and the magic and the impact that an artist can have on people on a deep level. That with her, she was stripped of all the depth to which she has, because it's like, that's Britney Spears. Like, that's the most surfacey, whatever thing that you could think of, when in reality there was so much, or is so much to her. But
yeah, I really do think she's a martyr. I think she died for the sins of women in the music industry, in a lot of industries, when it comes to wanting to own your image, but also being teared down for the same thing that you love her for.
Yeah.
And I think, and you said this too, it's just like, she has ideas, she has so much control, but doesn't, and
talent.
Which doesn't make any sense why this conservatorship exists.
No, it doesn't.
It makes no fucking, if she can make the money and do these fucking the Vegas shows that are so draining, not many people can fucking do. It's very difficult what she does, and does very well in Vegas.
Very well.
But her dad wants to okay. Where's Kanye West's conservator? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Why is she? It's just
it's a whole representation. It's a gross representation of the mental health crisis in our country, but the mental health crisis for celebrities and the dangers of idolization and worship, and the dangers of childhood stardom, and the falsehood that somebody who's as big as she is, because I remember being in fourth grade and really being she truly has it all. She is beautiful. She has the career I want, because I wanted to be singing and doing this forever. She has like her mom by her side all the time. Her family supports her. And you really just don't. How many times do we have to learn the lesson that you don't know what's going on? And the thing that I even am ashamed to say I didn't realize was how actually talented she is. I really like, I mean, I knew she could dance, but like literally the vocals to me, I was like, I really, even as much as I was a big fan of hers growing up, but the thing is, I never considered, I mean, she's really talented.
Yeah, I'm a Britney fan. I knew how talented she is, but I mean, a lot of the things in the documentary I already knew, but there were some things that like put it in such like a beautiful way of knowing how it just put a spotlight on how, like you said, we treat mental illness, how we treat idols and celebrity, but also how we treat women. You know, like, why can't she have control over herself? Like, she's not the only one having like speedy marriages. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Why are we treating women as if they are fucking crazy when we follow them, stalk them, humiliate them, tell them they're a bad mother, tell them they're a slut?
Yeah. Yeah. When they're starting at age 17. Simultaneously telling them that they are the epitome of what everyone wants to be, and yet we're still going to remind you that you're a bad mom and you're a slut.
Yeah, but you better make us money right now.
But you better make us money.
Control your finances.
You're our favorite at the same time. All of these mixed messages at the same time, and then
but
it's
make
just
us money. But we're not going to let you control that money. We're not going to let you control your life. It's fucking sad.
It's really sad.
So sad. And I'm glad because recently her dad lost in the latest court case on her conservatorship. They allowed because she wanted like a bank to be like a third party conservator. And yeah, so the Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Brenda Penny denied this Britney's petition last year, but they appointed Bessemer Trust as a co-conservator along with James Spears. So that's like, it's a good step. But she said multiple times that she doesn't trust her father, that she's afraid of her father. Her boyfriend just came out last week saying that they've both been very quiet about the things, saying that her dad's a fucking asshole.
Nobody who had ever been on her team that was in that documentary had anything good to say about him.
No. How do you feel about the Justin Timberlake shit?
Yeah, so so Justin Timberlake and Britney broke up, and then he put out a song that they're saying was very, without naming her, targeted her, and then she just became this, and he implied that she had hurt him, and that's why they broke up. And then everyone fills in the gaps. Oh, she must have cheated on him. Oh, and then in these interviews, she's being asked about it, and well, he made it sound like you really hurt. What did you do, Britney? That was like one of the things what did you do? And then at one point in one of the interviews, they ask her about her year. It was at the end of that year, and like, you must have had a hard year. And she just wells up in her eyes, and then she's embarrassed that she's crying, and she's like, oh my God, can we stop this? I'm sorry. She's like so sweet, and she's like, I don't know where this is coming from, but she was crying and saying, yeah, this has been a really hard year. And it was the year in which everybody was coming at her like, you cheated on Justin. Justin put out this song and you cheated on Justin. But I think that's a whole I feel like when it comes personally to Justin, I don't know. I don't feel like, I mean, I love Cry Me a River. I think it's a beautiful song. I also write songs. Also, I'm like, that's what you do as an artist. You put your stuff out there. So I don't blame Justin, but
that's
I think
why I wanted to ask you, because I think it's an artist has every right to talk about their breakup.
Yeah. And he didn't call her out in the song, and everyone interpreted it, and maybe that's what it is. That's his right. But what I do think it does is shine a light on the way society, once again, the woman is the devil in all these situations where it's not on Justin, but society-wise, this situation proved that again.
Justin fucked up because he didn't do enough to defend her He like kind of was just like and that's why he had this apology. And 100% that's on him. He should have done more because she was getting fucking reamed, and he was like, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I'm
sorry, don't come for Cry Me a River. Like, then let's have the same fucking energy towards Taylor Swift every time she writes a song about any one of her celebrity exes that she does all the time. And
all the time,
fun.
and nobody comes at,
great.
No one comes at whoever she's dated and been like John Mayer. I mean, like, wow, what did you do, John? What did you do?
Not in the same level, right? And it's just like, these artists do this all the time. Like what Justin did, like, yes, it perpetuated a really bad shit in the media, but like we bought those magazines. We tuned into those interviews that tore her down. Not just Justin.
The problem isn't that he wrote a song about the breakup or about being hurt. It has nothing to do with Justin. The problem is the way the media approached her in the following year.
Exactly.
That's the actual problem.
I think it's like misogynistic to put so much on him, because now we're making so much about her legacy on Justin, and that's so not what the focus should be on. She has so much going, like she's done so much in her life. We should not be talking about Justin as much as we are. And that's on sexism on itself. And no one wants to fucking, they think, I don't know. It's just fucking wild. A lot of the people in media now and like want to cancel him and for all this shit. And it's like, he didn't do enough to defend. You know
also,
what I mean? 100%,
okay. But also, it was the business move, the right business move, which is ugly, but was what he did, which is not defend. He's in a record label. He was 20 something at that time. That was 20 years ago, honestly, or like 15 years ago. And what the hell? Get over it. We all know it's not like any new information. We all know they broke up. Then he wrote Cry Me a River. Now this doc comes out, and then cancel culture is just some bullshit. Like, do you think that nobody has room to evolve and change?
I know. And grow? I think cancel culture can exist and can be powerful if done right. And we can't just, not take onus for our own fucking shit that we've all helped Britney's demise. You know what I mean? Like we were all, we laughed at Chris Crocker for saying leave her alone. Like we were like, holy shit, she's shaving her head. Like we all
that's what
have
I was gonna say.
And like, okay, yeah, go ahead.
Well, the shaving her head part, and again, this is coming from someone who, when it all happened, I saw all the pictures. I was like, oh my God, she shaved her head, mental health crisis. That's okay. I didn't look into it even at the time, and I don't know if this information was out there. So this was new news to me on even why she did it, and it was a whole thing of like, stop looking at me. Like they're looking at me because they think I'm pretty, and they want these pretty pictures of me, and they want me to be. And what if I'm not pretty? Yeah, it was a mental health crisis. She had a breakdown for obvious reasons, not because she's insane, because she's a normal human who was under extenuating circumstances. And then to shave her head and try to make this actual like kind of philosophical, deeper statement of like, stop looking at me. I'm not that pretty, perfect thing that you think I am. Does that. And then it all gets boiled down to the cheesiest, like most surface. Well, she's gone crazy. She shaved her head. She's crazy. She shaved her head. And then her whole meaning behind doing it gets lost. No one hears her, what she's actually trying to say. And then they interviewed somebody who, a Britney fan in the documentary, and they were like, something about like, I did the same thing when she did that, because I realized it's about people looking at me, and I don't want people to look at me. And I understood why she did that. And they like saw the deeper meaning in it, which I had never considered either. And I was like, wow.
Well, it's why Billie Eilish wears the baggy clothing that she does.
Yeah.
And just recently, I think this was back in December, she was at her house. She was going to get mail or something, and she wore a t-shirt, which usually she wears like really big sweatshirts and stuff like that. And she just wore a t-shirt that showed a little bit more of her body than the world is used to. And of course, paparazzi were hanging out outside her house and taking tons of pictures of her. And then pictures came out. Yeah, she's very curvy, and she's a curvy woman. And the paparazzi and people were coming for her being a like not a bigger girl, just as curvy as she is. And it's like, and she came out being like, fuck you. This is why I wear the clothes that I do. I don't want you to perceive me in your fucking sexualized fantasy when I want to fucking make music. This is not my brand. And why does it have to be about brand? Like, why can't I just be a fucking 18-year-old and sing my songs and not have you point fingers at me for things I can't control? Fuck you.
And you really can't win because you either show it off as you're encouraged to do, and as a woman in the public eye, you either show it off and you're Nicki Minaj and we know what every inch of your body looks like without clothing. We all seen it. Great. Or you are, and she's criticized for that, Nicki Minaj. Or then you're Billie Eilish, who covers up all the time. It becomes part of your look. I love that concept. But then you trap yourself in because then it's like, what if I just want to wear a freaking tank top today? But I can't because that's not my brand. And then people stop. So she puts herself in an even smaller box where then you're like, what's the middle ground? Like you either are scrutinized for your body or you're scrutinized for not showing it. And then when you haven't shown it for a couple of years and then you do, that is all anyone cares about. So you really can't win. So then you're almost like, I mean, that's just like so much anxiety that men never have to do. Has anyone ever noticed Jay-Z's body shape? It's bizarre, but no one cares. Like, what the heck?
Like, women have to be the fucking best at everything. They have to, and that's why I called Britney a martyr, because it was such a fucking social experiment in a way of just like, she was the most sexualized, but the most innocent, the most virginal, but the biggest slut. Like, it was just like, what do women have to do? We have to be... Like, we have to give everything of ourselves and have nothing left for ourselves at the same time. It's like, you just want us to be empty shells at the end of the day.
You keep everything to yourself and you repress sides of you that you want to express. Yeah. So, which is like the Billie Eilish thing where it's like, and I don't claim to know what she wants to express or
like
not, but
hypothetically.
It's like, you either choose that you're going to hide it all so they don't see you that way. But then what if you are a human and you're a woman and you're a sexual being and you're beautiful and you're sensual. So that side of you, do you just decide, I got to cut it all off in the public eye? That's right. I can't show that. Or do you decide, I only show that part? Like, and yeah, you would think, well, just walk the middle line. Sorry, women aren't allowed to do that yet.
Yeah, what is that?
What does that mean?
Oh my God.
So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I was like, please watch it if you haven't already. I know a lot of people have already, but like,
it's not too long either. It's on YouTube.
It's just an hour. And I think, kind of, if you share our kind of frustrations with the world on this, and like, I'm so, like, I knew you'd agree with me with the Justin thing. Like, I just feel like it's really lazy, and and that one interview where he asked about like fucking her, and he was just like, yeah, I did. Yeah. He's a fucking idiot. He's a fucking idiot. He's just an idiot.
Yes, but men are also, they're socialized into this really messed up world too, where he feels like he has to do that because that's the manly thing. I gotta be a man. I gotta be, like, men are victims of the patriarchy as well. And so Justin, as a like 20-something-year-old, he's a symptom, and he's a victim as much as he instigated the like, okay, yeah, I fucked her. Like, okay, but imagine this. His publicist, everyone's prepping him, telling him what to say, telling him how to be, telling him what his image is.
Don't talk about your sexuality. Don't lie. Say you haven't fucked it. So he's just like, why are we fucking lying about this shit?
Or he's being told,
it's weird.
Give him a little something. They want a little something. Like, just be a man. That's like, you want to be seen as a man. You want to be seen as whatever's being put into his ear. Men don't, the patriarchy, that's what we keep trying to say. The patriarchy is bad for men too. White supremacy is bad for white people too. Like, when are we all going to learn this?
Thank you. Abso-fucking
Wait.
What?
Which also brings me to the Gorilla Glue. I know we just have a few minutes left.
Oh my God. Yeah.
There's a girl online who used Gorilla Glue on her hair because she ran out of her hair product, and it literally got like stuck for a week or more. She had to end up going to a plastic surgeon to get it. She couldn't wash it off. It was cemented to her head. And look it up if you haven't already. I say that because some people haven't heard, but it led me to that because talking about white supremacy, as we always seem to get back to, but literally comes from Black women being told since the beginning of time that their natural hair is not acceptable, and you must do all kinds of things to it
to straighten it, to get it down, to get it controlled.
Control it. And no matter, at all costs, to the point where this woman, and I will say, it was a dumbass move. But, and also she said her hair product that she used was called something glue, but it was a hair product.
Got to be glue.
Got to be glue. That was the name of the hair product. So then she used actual glue, the strongest kind that I've like glued a table together with.
Yeah.
But that's on her. But also it is in the larger picture society literally telling Black women all the time at all costs, no matter what, control your hair, control your body, control your sexuality, control everything. 100%.
And
she's
so
a symptom
lazy
of that.
To make fun of her. I think it's just so fucking lazy. You can be like, all right, but like the fucking vitriol she had and everyone just being like, oh, fuck, like, oh, why because people were thinking she's going to get brand deals out of this and she's milking this. You're like, she's fucking crying. She is like, and again, like we were saying, she is a fucking system of the standards in which we put Black women through all the time. And it's interesting too, because like I had found this like little information or data on this that kind of ties in our last episode on Black History Month and all the policies and what we do that still hurt Black people today. And Black models say they have suffered over the years due to hairstylists who don't know how to work with their hair texture. Yep. And preliminary studies suggest that chemicals and relaxers could affect Black women's physical health, all in the name of fitting a beauty standard that was not made with Black women in mind. Like, it's so fucking sad.
There's some research about the chemicals in relaxers that if women are getting them regularly and then they get pregnant, and it can actually affect your child. And it is just like... awful. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation for an actual different episode, which we should.
Yeah, I
with
found
a guest, we should cover.
A really good tweet too from Sunny Hostin, who's on The View. I love her. She said so many are dismissive of a Gorilla Glue girl, given the history of how Black women are targeted and still battle the pervasive belief that our natural hair is unprofessional, unkempt, or in some way a statement. Please show her some grace and understanding. I think that's just like,
yeah. I think everything that happens like that, and the Britney Spears thing was actually an example of that too, where on the surface, it seems like some tabloid, surfacey, dumb, like media thing. There is always a bigger picture and a societal mirror that's held up to us that, like I said, with Britney, like I didn't really think about it until I watched that. And I'm ashamed of it because I have my whole life, like I've known who she is, and it's just like, eh. And this Gorilla Glue, like, yeah, when I first saw it, I was like, this is dumb. But then read about it more and I was like, oh my God, this is, and then if you really can actually look in the mirror that these situations are showing us, like there's a lot to be learned about ourselves and our society and our views. And just like, I just encourage all of us, myself included, to continue to look at situations like that before you dismiss something as just like, because a lot of stuff is dumb, just media gags or whatever. But there are a lot of things that happen that really reflect us back to ourselves. And if we don't look at that, that's on us. It's just gonna keep getting worse.
Yep, fucking amen.
Yeah. So,
well, I mean, we really went into some important shit today. Other things that happened, I mean, we can just go over really quickly. Texas freezing over. All our grids are privatized. Climate change is real. Ted Cruz is a fucking idiot. He left his dog behind. He left his fucking constituents behind that voted for him. Texas, I love y'all. It's time to vote these stupid assholes out. And fucking AOC and Beto raised now $4 million while he got a margarita and a tan.
There is a tweet from Ted Cruz a while back saying he will believe in climate change when Texas freezes over.
It's fake.
Oh, it was fake?
I know. I deleted it. I know. I put that on my Instagram. I'm not a perfect person.
Well, don't listen to me,
it was
folks.
Doctored.
But still.
Whatever. He has said very similar things.
His official apology said he just did it for his daughters. They wanted to get away and wanted to.
Let's just throw women under the bus. Let's throw his daughters and his fucking
and
wife.
Also, so you do believe in crossing the border for better conditions for your kids' sake?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
For a better life, you want to cross the border, Ted? Tell us more. Interesting. Let's have the same energy in the Senate. Anyway, Texas is a whole fucking thing and climate change is a whole fucking thing. I am so sorry to the people in Texas right now. My brother-in-law his videos is exactly like the videos that you would see online. Like his pipes burst, and it's fucking horrible what they're going through right now. So I'm sending my love to them, especially living in California and the constant fires that we have here. Like, we fucking know this. I mean, not to this extent. I don't know what it's like to fucking freeze in your own home and not be able to get groceries right now. Like, it's horrible. And my thoughts and love go out to Texas. Yeah. Please vote out Ted Cruz. So we love you guys. Shout out to Black Lives Matter.
Our forever charity, not charity, nonprofit.
Shout out to Black Lives Matter, Britney Spears, Snowflake Cruz.
Shout out to you guys leaving us reviews on Apple Podcasts and rating us 5 stars. And passing us on to friends.
Yeah. Please. Follow us on YouTube, SOS with Molly and Alyssa. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the SOS Pod, and leave those reviews. 5 stars, please, because I don't know. We kind of deserve it, I think.
We deserve it.
Yeah. But whatever.
I'm Molly Cottrell.
I'm Alyssa Rosano.
Here's to turning meltdowns
into magic.